Chapter 17, An Introduction to Agile Project Management. The objectives of the chapter are to recognize the conditions in which traditional project management versus agile project management should be used, to understand how agile project management works, and in particular, the value of an incremental, iterative development approach to new product development, to understand the advantages of agile project management, to understand the basic methodology used in Scrum, to recognize the limitations of agile project management. Traditional approaches to project management concentrate firmly on thorough planning up front. The rationale is that if you plan, execute your plan, and take corrective action on deviations from plan, you have a high probability of success. Once the project scope has been firmly established, every detail of the project is defined through the work breakdown structure. Most problems and risks are identified and assessed before the project actually begins. Estimates are made, resources assigned, adjustments made, and ultimately a baseline schedule and budget are created. Control of the project is a comparison of plan versus actual, and corrective action is taken as required. Traditional project management requires a fairly high degree of predictability to be effective. For plans to be useful, managers have to have a firm idea on what is to be accomplished and how to do it. As project management entered the new millennium, many professionals recognized that one-size-fits-all project management methods did not meet their needs. This recognition was especially true for those working on software and product development projects in which the end product is not well defined and evolves over time. This project managed environment requires flexibility and the ability to manage changes as more information and learning takes place. Instead of attempting to plan the entire project up front, agile project management relies on an incremental, iterative development cycles to complete projects. Agile project management is ideal for exploratory projects in which requirements need to be discovered and new technology tested. It focuses on active collaboration between the project team and customer representatives, breaking projects into small functional pieces and adapting to changing requirements. While iterative development principles have been around for some time, it is only recently that agile methodologies have taken root within the project management profession. The key point is that traditional project management techniques were developed to operate in the predictable zone, where the scope of the project is fairly well defined and the technology to be used has been established. Agile project management lives in the unpredictable zone. Agile project management represents a fundamental shift away from the traditional plan-driven project management approach by adopting a more experimental and adaptive approach to managing projects. Projects evolve rather than are executed. Some of the differences between agile project management and the traditional approach are displayed in this table. Traditional project management requires a fairly high degree of predictability to be effective. For plans to be useful, managers have to have a firm idea on what is to be accomplished and how to do it. As an example, when it comes to building a bridge over a river, engineers can draw upon proven technology and design principles to plan and execute that type of project. However, not all projects enjoy such certainty. This figure illustrates this issue and is often used to support the use of Agile project management. And as you can see, as you move away from known and stable as it relates to scope and technology, the unpredictableness ever increases, therefore justifying the use of Agile project management. Fundamentally, Agile project management is related to the rolling wave planning and scheduling project methodology that we covered in Chapter 5. That is, the final project design is not known in great detail and is continuously developed through a series of incremental iterations over time. Iterations are short time frames that typically last from 1 to 4 weeks. The goal of each iteration is to develop a workable product that satisfies one or more desired product features to demonstrate to the customer and other key stakeholders. At the end of each iteration, stakeholders and customers review progress and reevaluate priorities to ensure alignment with customer needs and company goals. Adjustments are made and a different iterative cycle begins. Each new iteration subsumes the work of the previous iterations and adds new capabilities to the evolving product to produce a next expanded version of the product. And you will see this illustrated in the next slide. Just to review again, the goal of each iteration is to develop a workable product that satisfies one or more desired product features to demonstrate to the customer and other key stakeholders. At the end of each iteration, as you can see from this diagram, stakeholders and customers will review the progress and reevaluate priorities. Adjustments are made and a different iterative cycle begins. As you can see here, each new iteration of work is predicated by the previous iteration and adds new capabilities to the evolving product, or you can see kind of the snowball effect in the bottom part. As I mentioned before, Agile project management is extremely useful in developing critical breakthrough technology or defining essential features. As an iterative development process, it provides the following other important advantages, as in the case of continuous integration, verification, and validation of the evolving product, frequent demonstration of progress to increase the likelihood that the end product will satisfy customer needs, and it also provides early detection of defects and problems. The authors do note that there's growing evidence that iterative and evolutionary development is superior to traditional plan-driven project management when it comes to creating new products. You should be aware that Agile project management is not one set method, but a family of methods designed to respond to the challenges of unpredictable projects. A few of the more popular ones are Scrum, Extreme Programming, or XP, Agile Modeling, Lean Development, RUP, or Rational Unified Process. There's Crystal Clear, and Dynamic Systems Development Method, or DSDM, or the Rapid Product Development Process, or RPD. Well, each of these methods has unique elements and applications. Most, like Agile project management, are based on the following principles. Focus on customer value. Employ business-driven prioritization of requirements and features. Iterative and incremental delivery. Create a flow of value to the customer by chunking product delivery into small functional increments. Experimentation and adaptation. Test assumptions early and build working prototypes to solicit customer feedback and refine product development. Under self-organization, team members decide amongst themselves who and what should be done. Continuous improvement. Teams reflect, learn, and adapt to change. Work informs the plan. Scrum, like other agile methods, begins with a high-level scope definition and ballpark time and cost estimates for the project. The scope and the cost estimates should be complete enough that management is comfortable with the estimates. The theory is that since requirements evolve over time, detailed upfront planning will be wasted. In place of product work breakdown structures, Scrum uses product features as deliverables. A feature is defined as a piece of a product that delivers some useful functionality to the customer. In the case of a software project, a feature may be a bank customer being able to change his or her PIN. In the case of a high-tech product, it may be 3G wireless access. Features are prioritized by their perceived highest value. The project team tackles the highest feasible priority features first. Priorities are reevaluated after each iteration. Iterations are called sprints and should last no longer than 4 weeks. The goal of each sprint is to produce a fully functional feature or features. This forces the team to tackle tough decisions early in order to create a workable demo. The specific 4 phases, I should say, of Scrum are analysis, design, build, and test. Specific features are created according to 4 distinct phases within Scrum. That is, analysis, design, build, and test, as you can see in this figure. Each feature can be thought of as a mini project in itself. The first phase is analysis and review of functional requirements that will be needed to complete the feature. The team commits to meet these requirements. The second phase is the development of a design that meets the requirements of the feature. The third phase is to build the feature so that it is functional. Finally, the feature is tested and documented. At the end of each sprint, features are demonstrated. Within this sprint framework, Scrum relies on specific roles, meetings, and documents or logs to manage the project. There are 3 key roles to the Scrum process: product owner, development team, and the Scrum Master. The product owner is that person that acts on behalf of the customers to represent their interests. They are responsible for ensuring that the development team focuses their efforts on developing a product that will fulfill the business objective of the project. The product owner establishes the initial list of product features and prioritizes them in the product backlog. The product owner negotiates sprint goals and backlog items with the development team. The product owner has the option to change features and priorities at the end of each sprint if he or she so desires. However, no changes should be made once the sprint has started. The product owner is the final arbiter on requirements, questions, and is empowered to accept or reject each product increment. The product owner ultimately decides whether the project is completed. Product owners are the keeper of the product vision and the watchdog on the return of investment. The development team is responsible for delivering the product. A team is typically made up of 5 to 9 people with cross-functional skill sets. There are no designated roles or titles. People take on different responsibilities depending on the nature of the work. The team is self-organizing in the sense they decide both who and how the work is to be accomplished, or self-empowered. Team members should be co-located so that intense face-to-face collaboration can occur. They are responsible for achieving commitments they make at the sprint planning and the sprint review meetings. The Scrum Master, alias the Project Manager. The Scrum Master facilitates the Scrum process and resolves impediments or barriers at the team and organizational level. The Scrum Master is not the leader of the team. The team, as I mentioned earlier, leads itself, but acts as a buffer between the team and outside interferences. They have no formal authority. Instead, they are responsible for making sure that the Scrum process is adhered to. They help the product owner with planning and try to keep the team energized. The master serves more as a coach than that of a manager. The Scrum process uses a series of coordinated meetings to manage the development process. The sprint meeting is at the start of each sprint. The product owner and development team negotiate with product backlog items the team will attempt this sprint. The product owner is responsible for identifying which features are most important, and the team is responsible for determining what is possible within that sprint. If it is impossible to complete a certain key item within 4 weeks, the team works with the product owner to break the feature down even further into doable or deliverable pieces. All committed items are recorded in the product backlog. The team uses this backlog to prioritize specific work to be done and assign initial responsibilities. These tasks are recorded in the sprint backlog. Once the meeting has adjourned, the goals for the sprint cannot be changed. The daily Scrum is the heartbeat of Agile project management. It is the daily meetings which are commonly referred as the Scrum. Each work day, at the same time, place, and team members stand in a circle and take turns answering the following key questions. What have you done since the last Scrum? What will you do between now and the next Scrum? What is getting in the way of yourself from performing your work as effectively as possible? The Scrum, which typically lasts 15 minutes, is held next to a whiteboard, at which time all tasks and blocks are recorded. The Scrum Master erases blocks once they have been removed. The meetings must start on time. In some cases, a late fine is collected by the Scrum Master and donated to charity. At least that's what the authors state. The meeting is limited to just those 3 core questions. Kind of like that. Members stand to create a sense of urgency. Immediately afterwards, specific members may meet to resolve issues offline that have surfaced. The value of the Scrum is that it creates a daily mechanism to quickly inform the team about the state of the project. It sustains a sense of team identity that encourages openness and resolution of problems in real time. Having everyone report what they plan to do for that day generates a social promise to the group, thereby building that accountability ever so important. Please note that the team is self-managed or self-empowered. The Scrum Master does not assign daily tasks to team members. The team decides amongst themselves. The Scrum Master role is to see that the Scrum is running correctly. They are not the master of the team, but rather the master of the process. Sprint review meetings are at the end of each sprint. The team demonstrates the actual work product increments they have built to the product owner and other relevant stakeholders. Feedback is solicited from the product owner and other relevant stakeholders. The product owner declares which items are done and which items need further work and are returned to the product backlog. The team can take this opportunity to suggest improvements and new features for the product owner to accept or reject. The sprint review meetings is an opportunity to examine and adapt the product as it emerges and iteratively refine the key requirements. Such refinements will be subject of the next sprint planning meeting. The sprint retrospective meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to reflect on how well the previous sprint went and identify specific actions that can improve future sprint. The Scrum Master typically facilitates this meeting, and the team decides which changes will be made and how they will work together for the next sprint. The retrospective reflects Scrum's commitment to continuous improvement and the value it places on improving not only products, but the team's interactions. Each project has a product backlog and a sprint backlog. The product owner controls the product backlog and the team controls the sprint backlog. The product backlog is the customer's prioritized list of key features desired when the project is completed. Only the product owner can change the product backlog and its priorities. The product backlog usually defines each feature and estimates of time, cost, and work remaining. By observing the feature completion rate, called the burn rate, the product owner can estimate the finish date and consider the trade-offs of adding or reducing the features. This table is a partial product backlog for a software project. As I stated earlier, each product has a product backlog and a sprint backlog. In this case, a sprint backlog is developed and controlled by the team. It represents the amount of work the team commits to complete during the next sprint. The sprint backlog lists the tasks or activities that must be completed to deliver the functional feature or that segment of feature. The sprint backlog also serves as a status document by listing the person responsible for each task, remaining hours of work, and recording the task as finished, in process, or not yet started. This figure, for example, illustrates an example of a sprint backlog. Please note that Scrum does not use any of the conventional project management tools like Gantt charts or network diagrams. Instead, it relies on the daily Scrums and the active involvement of the product owner to manage workflow. Risk is mitigated by short developmental cycles and rigorous testing. Scrum and other agile methods are ideally suited for distinct projects that can be completed by a small 5 to 9 person team. Agile methods can be used on a larger scale projects in which several teams are working on different features at the same time. In practice, this condition is called scaling. The chief challenge with scaling is integration, making sure that the different features being created work in harmony with each other. Sounds like system integration. There are no easy solutions to integration challenge. Significant upfront planning is required to manage the interdependencies of different features that will be developed. This is called staging, and often is the subject of the first development iteration. Here, protocols and roles for coordinating efforts and assuring compatibility are established. This is supported by establishing a clear product vision so that trade-off decisions are consistent at the local team level. Agile advocates recommend creating a hub structure, as seen here, with overlapping roles and responsibilities to manage large projects. There are several feature development teams. A separate integration and build team is formed consisting of part-time members of each feature team. This team tackles the sticky integration issue through testing and establishing requirements for the feature teams. To coordinate the multi-team structure, a central project team is created, consisting of a higher-level project manager, a project manager who represents the interests of the customer, and the leads or project managers from the feature development teams. The project management team provides coordination and facilitates project decision-making. Their role is to steer rather than command the other teams. Teams may be real, virtual, or in some combination. The entire system requires a spirit of collaboration to work. Agile project management does not satisfy top management's need for budget, scope, and scheduling control. Remember the new house analogy earlier in the chapter. The buyer got exactly what they wanted, but did not know how much it would cost, nor did they know how long it would take or even what it would look like when it was done. While ballpark estimates are provided, Agile project management methods by their very nature do not provide the detailed estimates of time and cost that management usually likes to see. No matter how realistic it depends is. Management as well as customers are accustomed to working with a greater level of certainty than Agile project management provides. In response to the financial concerns, many organizations establish ceilings, which is the maximum budget that should not be exceeded in the development of a given product or service. Even if management totally buys into the value of Agile project management, one cannot simply install it into an organization overnight. It needs to evolve over time. Many of the Agile principles, including self-organization of teams and intense collaboration, are incompatible with many corporate cultures. For example, the principle of self-organizing teams in which members decide who should do what, regardless of rank or title, contradicts command and control structures normally found in organizations. Likewise, intense collaboration is not for everyone. One Agile manager confessed that she had to let several of her top engineers go because their lone wolf personalities were not compatible with collaboration. Most companies report gradual introduction of Agile project management. As I mentioned earlier, Agile methods appear to work best on small projects that require only 5 to 9 dedicated team members to complete the work. Here, face-to-face communication replaces time-consuming documentation and informal coordination supplants top-down control. Although some companies have successfully applied Agile project management to large projects, others have struggled with the scaling challenge. Too often, coordination requirements undermine the adaptability of the small teams, which is the chief strength of Agile project management. Companies that enjoy success on large projects tend to have or had a strong history of using Agile methods on smaller projects, and Agile principles are part of their product development culture. Agile project management requires active customer involvement. Involvement comes in different shapes and forms. Designating an internal person to act as a product owner to represent the interests of the customers is relatively easy. Soliciting the active participation of external customers can be more problematic. Even though there is consistent evidence that customer participation enhances project success, not all customers want to be that actively involved. Many are simply too busy to do it. Others believe that they hired the project team so they would not have to take that time to be involved. Securing the cooperation of customers to devote their time to support agile project management is a common source of frustration. Agile project management frameworks, like Scrum, are used exclusively to complete software development projects from beginning to end. Other companies are using agile project management only during the early exploratory phase of a project. Agile project management is used to develop critical breakthroughs, technology, or define essential features. Once the feature and the technology are known, then traditional project management is applied to complete that project. Thank you.